Enumerated types. What are they? Why might you need them? And how to use them? I'll try my best to answer those questions in this one. Say we have a need to store the status of a person with respect to COVID-19 inside a variable called COVID status. Its value should be able to represent the following three states: negative, positive, or not tested. What data type for this variable would make the most sense? We can choose a character and store P for positive, N for negative, and X for not tested. Or we can choose an int and store 1 for positive, -1 for negative, and 0 for not tested. The convention wouldn't be obvious for everyone reading the code, be it an int or a character, as both of these types have a bigger range of values that they can hold, and we're only interested in these three, which are just about enough to represent all the possible states of this variable. A scenario like this one, where we know during compile time that a variable will only take a limited set of values, calls for an enum, an enumerated data type. For now, let's stick to this being just an int. Somewhere in our code, this variable is populated, and we want to simply print a message on how safe it is to be around the person to whom this variable belongs. We can use a switch for this matter, and since we know that this variable is going to take three possible values, we'll need to handle three cases: a -1 for negative when it's safe, a 1 for positive when it's unsafe, and a 0 for not tested when we're not completely sure whether it's safe. We can get these case expressions to be more expressive by declaring an enum and making code status to be of that type. To declare an enum, we say enum, then give it a name, and within curly brackets, we mention the names of the possible states of the type, which are called the variants. Internally, all of these will be just aliases to numeric constants, which start from 0 and increase by 1. And that's the reason why these are called enumerated types. So, negative will be 0, not tested will be 1, and positive will be 2. We can also explicitly assign a number to a variant, like -1 to negative, which will automatically give 0 to not tested, and 1 to positive. We can declare COVID status to be of this type, like so. Now, we get a way to say that COVID status is of a custom type that expects a limited set of values by declaring it as an enumerated type, which is definitely more readable compared to it being vaguely declared as an int or a character. We can assign not tested to this variable, which is also equal to assigning a 0, by the way, as we saw before that not tested did get the value 0, but that would just beat the point of getting the code more readable. And now we can rewrite our switch cases into using these enum variants rather than the numbers directly, which will result in friendlier case expressions. There's an added benefit with using an enum, which is if we miss handling any variant of an enum, the compiler will warn us mentioning the variants that were not handled, which would not have been the case had we switched on an int or a character. Coming back to declaring a variable of an enum type, instead of having to type enum, enum name, and then variable name, we can define a type using typedef like so, and use that to declare variables of that type. However, having a variable of type enum won't stop us from assigning any number to it. That would just be bad programming though. That was all for this one. Thanks for watching.